Welcome to the Leadership Launchpad Project. I'm Rob Kalwarowsky, and this week's episode, you're joined by special guest, me, myself, and my parts. It's going to be a quick episode, but I wanted to deliver something of value to all because you're our great supporters, and I wanted to be there for you. And so this week, I wanted to start off with a question. Is how are you doing in your 2023 goals for impact? Where are the actions that you're taking, building the legacy you want to leave, and attaining your 2023 goals and having an impact, and where are they not? Because I see how hard all of you are working. I see how you're pulling long hours. I see how hard you're working. I see the effort you're putting in. I see how you're continuously asked to do more with less, take on more projects, take on more responsibility, put out more energy, put out more deliverables, and yet they're cutting people, they're cutting time, they're cutting resources, they're cutting budgets. It's hard. And here's the switch. Obviously, we at Elite High Performers, we drive everything from our mindset. And ultimately, that's what's going to make everything easier. The beliefs you have about yourself, how you program yourself to go after the legacy you want to leave. Not only will that turn you into an elite leader, it'll also make your life a lot easier. And my question to you is, do you think 2024 is going to be easier? Or do you think the trend's going to continue? Ultimately, we can't keep going on this trend unless we start to change. Unless we start to choose how we want to live our lives, choose how we want to show up, and affect change in our own environment so we can affect change in others. And that's where we want to go. Leaving that legacy is not easy. That's why many folks don't do it. Working on our mindset's not easy. Doing the deeper work is not easy. And actually, for folks out there, if you're listening and you feel that reticence, that fear, that flutter, just lean into that and try to understand, why is it protecting you? What does it need? And what is it scared of? And if you give that fear love and attention and compassion, that's when it'll allow you to go on that mission, that legacy that you want to leave. And the last thing is just, it's September. We're going to be rolling into September in about a week, and we have 3 months left to hit our goals for 2023. And so the question is what changes do you need to make to be hitting those goals as we wrap up in December? And for some of you, that's going to mean that you're going to need to book time for those deeper goals. You're going to invest in yourself, energy, time, money, resources, in hitting those goals you want to hit. Because if those goals are important to you, then investing is the way to get them. And I always talk with many of my leaders about booking time for their deep strategic work to hit their goals, to have the impact they want to have, to develop themselves towards the leader they want to become. If you're not doing that, things got to change. Because in 2024, Companies aren't going to roll out more people and reduce your workload. You're going to be continually asked to do more with less. And in order for you to be able to do that without burning out, without stressing out, without being at these incredible levels of stress that so many people are at today, around 44%, I believe, is to change your mindset. And then not only will you become an elite leader who's able to turn their teams into happy high performers, but also you'll be happier. It'll become easy to hit your goals, or at least easier, because ultimately your goals will get bigger. But that's where I want to leave you all this week. I wanted to jump on and really stress the importance of mindset, because our inner experience is what changes our outer experience. And I was on a podcast last week with George Wright, and he was digging into how to deal with a bad boss. And he hit the nail on the head. Yes, we can have strategies for different bosses. We can set boundaries. We can do all these things. But if we don't change our mindset, we actually don't execute any of that. Or it's like pushing a boulder up the hill. And that's really it. Is as we can program our subconscious, those 95 to 97% of decisions you make every day that are part of your operating system, that just happen. Those 95 to 97% of decisions you make when you drive somewhere and you forget how you got there, but somehow you arrived at the place you wanted to get to. Those are the decisions that ultimately, if you align those towards the legacy, the goals, and the outcomes you want to get, that's going to make your life easier, and you're going to get those outcomes. But let's start there. Let's start there. Let's start with blocking time. Let's start with looking at our strategic goals for the 2023 and putting time in our calendar to work for those and develop ourselves into the leader we want to become. And to pull out and start saying no to things that aren't fitting those requirements. And yes, for some of you who are people pleasers or hyperachievers or all these different things, that's going to be incredibly hard. It's hard to say no. It's better, it's easier to be the person who just does everything. But that's not sustainable. And it also doesn't get you where you want to go. And it's easy for me to say that that Hallmark card saying, if you're not saying no to others, you're saying no to yourself, right? But there's actually work that goes involved in that. It's changing your beliefs about yourself that actually lead to the outcome of saying no to projects and tasks and people that aren't serving you. And so that's the work. So if you're out there, you want to do some deep work, obviously reach out to us, www.elitehighperformance.com, and let's get rolling. If you feel that fear, that excitement, that anticipation of what you could truly become, the elite leader that you can be, and also you realize that you just can't continue in the way you've been doing it because the stress and the average performance is just not getting it done. reach out. Book us for a consult. And for everyone out there, yeah, it's September. Let's get rolling. If we're not rolling, we need to be. Got 3 months before the year's over. So we got to be rolling. We got to be booking time for our goals. We got to be booking time to develop ourselves. We got to be investing in the most important thing, and that's you. That starts with our mindset. And so let's get rolling, folks. If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe to Leadership Launchpad Project on your favorite podcast platform and share the podcast with all the leaders in your life. And we would really appreciate it if you dropped us a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. That would be really helpful. And also for all things leadership development, one-on-one, high-performance leadership mindset coaching, burnout prevention, conflict management, emotional intelligence, keynote speaking, and more, head on over to elitehighperformance.com for all of that. And if you want the best strategies on how to deal with a bad boss, you can find a free ebook on howtodealboss.com. Everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.